What's up, world? This is Mark Tatum, just saying hello to you on my drive home, with a lot to say that I want to kind of share with you guys in regards to atheists and scientists and people who don't believe or acknowledge God. I usually would put this on a Facebook post, but with what I got to say, it'd be like 3 and 4 or 5 pages long, and you know, studies show that people don't stay on the internet that long to read all of that. So here I go, I'm gonna flap my jaws a little bit. Okay, so the premise is that, you know, I'm lumping atheists and scientists in one category, and those who don't believe in God, they don't believe in the existence of God. They believe that He is the figment of human imagination. I'm coming for you. First of all, I understand what and how you guys believe, and to kind of give a broad generalization, a broad sweep. You know, you guys are very logic-minded, very process-driven. You know, you're very formulaic in your thinking. Things must equate. Things must measure out. You must be able to measure certain things. And if you can't measure it, if you can't detect it, you know, because you can't measure it, it's like, okay, why does it exist? And you know, I get that. I mean, to give a broad generalization, they're black and white thinkers. If it's not this, then it must not be, or if it is this, then it must be. I understand that line of thinking. You know, they're not gray area thinkers at all. It either it is or it isn't. So I understand that. I obviously don't agree with it because I know that there is a gray area. But getting back to how they think, how scientists and agnostics and atheists and people who don't believe in God, I can understand why they think that way. It's because you can't measure Him. Everything else in science, in the laws of nature, everything that's material, you can measure to some degree. You can even measure life and death. Like you can tell whether something is living. We have instruments to tell whether the heart is beating and whether there's brain activity going on. We can determine all of those things. We can determine all the material things. You know, we can determine whether something is there or it's not, you know, living or it's dead. One thing that everybody agrees on is that there is a spirit. And that's one thing that no one has been able to measure at all, is the human spirit. You can tell when it's there, you can tell when it's not there. Even when a body is alive, if there's no spirit in that body, the body can still be alive. It could be, you know, brain dead and the heart still pumping, or the heart stopped beating but the brain's still alive. But you can tell those things, but the spirit of a person, nobody has been able to accurately measure. And I think that's what frustrates them, and that's why they say, okay, well, God doesn't exist. You know, the Bible clearly states in John chapter 4 that God is spirit. And so they get frustrated in that because you can't measure Him. If they want to know if God was real, how come I can't measure Him? Well, here's this very simple but broad answer. You can't measure the immaterial with material objects. You can't measure the unseen with things that are seen. You can't cross that plane. You can't cross. There's no instrument that we can create. There's no device. I mean, now these ghost hunters and everybody on TV, they try to create these Ghostbuster-like devices where you can determine paranormal activity and you can determine orbs and things like that. But, you know, that's just a blip on the radar. But you can't accurately tell and measure spiritual activity precisely and accurately. Not with man-made or material things. And I believe that that's why they become so frustrated, because they feel like it's a figment of people's imaginations. The only way that you can determine spiritual activity or unseen or immaterial activity is with immaterial objects. Everybody has an immaterial object, and that is your spirit. The way that you could tell spiritual activity basically is with your spirit. You can tell for certain if you're in tune with your spirit. Understanding that every person, every single person, that's their life force. Your spirit is your life force. That's the thing that makes you alive. When you don't have a spirit anymore, you cease to exist. The personality, your soul ceases to exist. If you want to intertwine spirit and soul, fine. You know, but that life force that's within you, your body could still go on. Of course, it'll decay without your life force, but your body will still be here in the immaterial. But where does your spirit go? Nobody has been able to measure that with material objects. So understanding that to measure spiritual things, you can only measure spiritual things and detect spiritual things with your spirit. And therefore, you have to be in tune and in touch with your spirit in order to be able to understand, I perceive this as a spiritual thing, as what some people would call a sixth sense. You know, we have our five senses to be able to tell things that are in this world, but having a sixth sense, you know, that study is a little fuddy-duddy for some people. They don't get that all the way. And so when it comes to the case of believing in God, some people are a little skittish about that. They feel like, okay, if I can't detect them, if I can't feel him, if I can't know that he's real, and why is he playing, you know, so hard to find, and why can't I tell that that he exists in human life? Well, he did that on purpose. He exists in the spiritual plane. In order to access him, we have to access him by faith. You have to believe that he's there. And a lot of people are scared of that word. They're scared to believe. And I believe that's where scientists and agnostics and atheists, that's where they trip up, because essentially they're scared to believe. To believe it can be a pretty scary thing, because and the reason why it takes faith, or the reason why it takes belief, is because, and the one thing that my pastor, and here's a plug for him, Pastor Terry D. Street of the Mount Pleasant Baptist Church, one thing that he taught us a long time ago is that faith exists in the same room as doubt. As a matter of fact, if there was no doubt, there wouldn't be a need for faith. In other words, you need doubt in order to have faith. If I believe something, and if it was easy for me to believe, meaning that there was no doubt, it wouldn't take faith. But I need faith. I need that element of doubt to say, I'm not sure. That's still the perfect moment. That's the exact perfect moment to apply faith, to say, you know what, I may not have all the evidence, but I'm putting my faith in X, Y, and Z, or I'm putting my faith, in this case, in God. And I believe that's where scientists and everybody who's logically minded, that's where they're scared to say and to be wrong. They say, you know, because I can't measure him, because I can't detect him, because I can't accurately tell if he's here or not, I don't want to take that chance to be wrong. They have all this doubt. They have a great cloud of doubt saying, okay, they could be wrong. You could look silly for believing in something that you can't see, something that you can't determine. That's where faith is. And I believe that they're scared to do that. I'm not scared, obviously. I believe in God. Yes, there's doubt. There's doubt all around. I cannot detect him in this material world at all. I can't perceive him with my natural senses at all. But with the evidence that's been given, especially in the Bible and the stories that's been given me, and yes, you could cast doubt on those stories all day also. But with the preponderance of evidence that's been given in the Bible and the stories about him and all of that, and here's the final thing, by my spirit, using my spirit to detect God, that's enough for me to believe in him. I'm not going to have all the answers. I can't tell you how this and how the miracles happen in Jesus' day. I can't tell you. I can't explain. I can't scientifically determine everything for you to give you a logical, natural-based answer. But by spiritual activity, again, by my spirit, and by my willingness to say, yes, there's doubt there, but I'm willing to move forward. I'm willing to cast my doubt aside. I'm willing to go forward in this. That's the reason why I believe, and that's why I believe, like scientists, they just don't want to believe. They don't want to believe. They don't want to be wrong, because they can't equate it, because they want to believe. They want it easy for them. They wanted to say everything is laid out plain for them, like how they do in their work. You know, in their work, they may not understand every animal or every plant or every bug or every star or every planet. You know, they may not be able to explain it, but they feel like they can explain most things, you know, through time. The one thing they can't explain is God, and so therefore they cast him aside. They disparage him. So I believe that they're scared. They're scared to step out on faith, basically, to say, I don't have all the evidence. Everything doesn't equate and fit nicely in an equation. So I'm going to believe anyway. I think they're scared to do that. So if you were to take this challenge, I challenge you to believe in him, even though you don't have all the answers, even though you may not have, be able to detect him with all of your natural senses. Believe by your spirit. Your spirit, if you're in touch with your spirit, will let you know what's real spiritual activity and what's not. You can't determine him by human elements or human understanding or human, intellect. You won't be able to determine him by those things, but you will be able to determine him by your spirit. Check with your spirit. See if he's real to you or not. And that way you will know that he is real. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Got a lot of all my blabbing out. It was a brain dump. Pardon me for my brain dump. But I hope you guys got something out of that that you will be able to share with somebody, and hopefully it'll be a blessing to the kingdom. God bless you.